What's up, you guys? Your girl G here. Welcome back. Y'all, I have been having these past few days too much. That's why I haven't been able to get to you guys with Love and Marriage Huntsville as fast as I wanted to. Y'all, we lost our damn dog. Then we ended up finding out that our dog was all the way like in a shelter at animal control. Then we had to go reclaim him. And after reclaiming him, well, like before we could even reclaim him, basically we had to show proof that like he was our dog. So then I had to call the vet that we had to see if I can get something with his name on it to prove that we owned him. Like it was just a hell of a past couple of days. So I finally been able to sit down, smoke, watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, and that's just what we can ready, talk about now, because that was just too much. Sometimes you just just leave me alone. Let me just go outside for 10 minutes. That's just what life was given in that moment. But yeah, Love and Marriage Huntsville. So Ken and Trisha, right? So I have come to a recognition of just accepting Trisha as like nervous energy. Like she carries anxiety. Like, I don't know, like her energy is just nervous energy. I guess that's a good way to put it. Like she carries a very like nervous energy about herself. And I've noticed like when she's speaking to people, she's already thinking about what it sounds like before it comes out of her mouth. And so it speaks as if she's like second guessing herself. Like if you get what I'm saying. Which is why she keeps having this situation like struggling with trying to explain, oh, I'm married, but not married, but separated, but with Ken, like that's why she doesn't speak with conviction. Like that's what I'm saying. Like she just is nervous energy. And so nonetheless, Ken is basically pulling her up on like, girl, what's up? What's up with the divorce? And this is where everybody keeps having this question of like, what is up with the divorce? Like, I guess that it was like 5 years. And so it's just kind of like, what is taking that long? But it's not foreign to have long separations. Like we know people be out here separated and just to be doing the paperwork, one, because it's a hassle. Like either it got to deal with money or it got to deal with like, struggling to get to an understanding, which typically is in sour divorces. But in this situation, we don't really know too much because she's not speaking clearly about what she said. Basically, he was no support. Obviously, she lost so many family members. That's a lot for one person to handle. And through that, she did get support from her husband. She said that he felt like putting energy elsewhere. But she didn't really say anything in particular. I don't know if she's just trying to not put her, old nigga out there like that. Or she's not trying to have to deal with, social media digging through all of that. Like, she's keeping real kind of, tight-lipped on it right now. But nonetheless, the situation isn't resolved. And so Ken is like, we've been together 2.5 years or whatever. I would like to marry this girl, but I ain't trying to step into nothing, and end up getting burned, in the end, which is fair, And so, yeah, she's like, obviously she's nervous to get, married. She's already dealt with a divorce. Like she said, I've, had somebody do all the things in the beginning and then switch up on me. Like she has a reasonable concern, which is why, Trisha, I'm going to tell you, girl, go to therapy. The gym is not your therapy, girl. I get it. You found an outlet and you keep trying to say, the gym was therapy for me. It ain't. Like and I mean this in all seriousness, go sit on somebody's couch, because if King really could be the, the dude, there's not a lot of them out there like that. You know how these niggas be. Clearly, through this show, we know how these niggas be. So, Ken, as of right now, is giving more of all the dudes on the show. He's leaning more towards Courtney energy. We like Courtney. Stormi, like we like Courtney, okay? So Ken is giving more that energy than, say a Martel and a Marceau. So yeah, like if that he could be, but you gonna run him off because you not really dealing with your shit. And Ken, your situation seems to be cool, you raising the girl, like, so we ain't really dug too much into that. But as of right now, Trisha, like, you really need to get a handle on this stuff, and that's just out of love, girl. But moving on. So what happened next? Was it Chris and Nell? Chris and Nell. So Nell is cleaning out her closet, and basically her and Chris get to talking about, what her birthday party is, and basically, are the girls gonna get along? The usual, because at this moment it's like everybody ain't really like seen it, kicked it, texted since the reunion. And so that's why, especially Tisha decided she was gonna get liquid courage. I don't know what, but we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. So Tisha and Stormi don't get along. And that whole, go pop some go pop some pills, bitch. Like, that is a whole thing I think Tisha really was nervous about. But nonetheless, she don't want nobody to hurt, the vibe up. And so, also on top of that, we got the family situation where we know Lexi did the whole blog situation. And with Chris, he said that he's tried to extend speaking to his daughter, but no reply. And Nell kind of said the same thing. She's like, people keep talking about like, Nell, that's your stepdaughter or whatever. Like, you need to fix it with her. And Nell basically is saying the same thing of, I can only fix something with somebody who wants it to be fixed, Now, Chris seems to be able to understand that, I guess, what Lexi's doing is out of her, which is something we sort of kind of got a little bit of taste of at that last family dinner that was shot to hell, because she was in the car, fighting with Chris over like some old stuff of like, oh, you didn't, like, she was just basically kind of mentioning like a way that he didn't show up for her. So obviously that, on top of probably whatever's going on in her ear, from her mom, because we don't really know that story. Now that this whole Nell's a side chick, conversation is coming up, we don't know what's being talked about in that house, So, in that regards, that is a situation that's like, it's just layers on top of layers. What else did they talk about? I think that was it. Yeah. Did they talk about anything else? Yeah, I think that was it. So, on to the next. Marceau, Tisha, and Maurice and Kimmy. I really love this short little Kimmy hair on, or a short little, little fro situation that Kimmy's got going on. Like, the way it's like kind of, curling up right now is cute. So, yeah, basically they're sitting down, chit chat or whatever, and Kimmy wants to get straight to it. And, this was one of the main reasons why we fell in love with Kimmy. Like, for real, before we learned that she low-key was a Tisha, the main reasons why, or at least I fell in love with Kimmy, was she was real logical. She wasn't, she every time there was all these beefs, she went by, like, what was logical, And so, she's sitting here talking with Marceau, obviously about the restaurant that they're trying to do. And she obviously, would like to keep the money in the family. But based off, history, as she said, the best predictor of future is, history. And, we still waiting on Scott Manor. Still waiting on your mama house. Still waiting on the strip mall. Like, Marceau. But he's giving her all types of lip service of, yeah, treat me like you would treat anybody else. And y'all know Marceau is in that category group of men. that you just give used car salesman vibes from. Because even though, you know, he's sitting there talking about like, oh, in a way, like basically those other situations were things that wasn't paying, basically. So those are things that just didn't get put into being done because we're actually getting paid for a service. Like, we build hotels, basically. So it's like, but that kind of proves the point. Like, yeah, you got business, but that means you keep putting people, i.e. your wife, on the back burn, which is why she still ain't got her house. Like, you can't keep, and then you even kick Tisha out of her office. Like, we ain't forgot about that, Marcel. Like, that's why you supposed to be building your wife an office, and that shit still ain't done. And y'all know why the nigga ain't making Tisha her own office. If we really want to get into the conversation, like, for real, we know why he ain't trying to finish building that office. Let's get real now. But that's another conversation. But yeah, Kimmy was basically like, but here Maurice do that shit too that Kimmy basically catches on to. He always does this thing of looking at Kimmy as if she's the one, that is the one that's like the whole thought process of a situation. So when Maurice was like, just to let you know, Kimmy, she gonna make you work for it. And Kimmy was like, why are you just making it seem like it's just me? I've seen throughout the seasons, Maurice do that shit with Kimmy a lot. Where he make it seem like she the one that was just like, things like, don't act like we ain't had this conversation. Like, you trying to put it all on me. He do that all the time. But nonetheless, like I said, Marceau was giving all types of, this is what we do. That's why people hire me. Okay. What happened with that lawsuit situation? We still ain't. Y'all heard any more information about that lawsuit situation? Cause it's given. You said that we getting paid or you paying people. Like, it's giving you they ain't paying people. I don't know. Like, what's up with this lawsuit situation, y'all? So moving on. What else happened? Oh, Courtney and Ken. So Courtney and Ken, they basically, they know each other, history in Huntsville. And they grew up basically playing like Little League basketball. So Ken, the closer you look at his face, he's actually like has a fairly attractive face, like in symmetry. But I just don't do like the muscles, like I just don't do the swollenness. But like as his face himself, like if you stare at his face like in confessionals and stuff when they do the close up, like he's a very handsome man. But nonetheless, they playing ball, basically talking about, this, Trisha situation, especially with Martel, because also at the dinner, I forgot to talk about that. They also talked about the Martel situation where Ken was like trying to understand, like, because the way Trisha, is it Trish or Trisha? Yeah. The way Trisha explained it was like he made it come across like, why are you acting like you don't know me? Like, it was given Martel was trying to like act like I don't know you, like, girl, act like we don't know each other. And she didn't pick up on the hint. Like, that's kind of how she took it in the confessional. She was like, I don't know why he was doing that either. Like, I don't know why. But when we get down to the question, like, okay, so if y'all, like, she said, she's like, I just saw that man in the store, like, 2 weeks ago or something like that. Like, I don't know. Everybody's getting the same energy. I don't want to just out there put that, they have been canoodling in the past. But she literally has said that she went to school with Martel's brother, Montez. Y'all, which I don't know if y'all remember. He said that nigga locked back up. I don't know if any we was too busy worried about Martel and Trisha that we bypassed the fact that Martel said his brother is locked back up. Like, I just remember that detail. Like, we forgot the nigga, y'all. He said, yeah, well, he doing good, but no, he not. He locked back up. He just can't get right. And it's like, Martel, Nigga, you can't either. Like, you just out of the both of y'all, you just the nigga with the suit on, Martel. That's it. You just the one with the suit on. Cause you about to go to jail too. If you don't stop getting around. Matter of fact, you are finna go to jail. Cause if you don't even fulfill the stuff that you got on your little restraining order here, you going to jail. Okay? So all you is your brother with a suit on. Okay? Sorry, I just had to rant that out because I just remembered that detail, and it's like, Martel, nigga, you ain't no better. But nonetheless, Ken was basically like, I don't want him trying to have her out here, like she was like, basically it's like some old slide or something, like, his old little creep thing. And so Courtney was just like, yeah, that's basically have a conversation. But, basically Ken wants her to kind of take the lead on that, because at the end of the day, she is the one that knows him. Like, he knows that he's like, I know that she grew up like tight with his brother and stuff. So, for him to act that way, like, got me raising my eyebrow a little bit. So yeah, like they basically had that conversation. And he's like, I ain't moving forward till, also she gets done with old dude. Cause Courtney's like, how long you wait? Like, would you be willing to wait, 3 to 5 years? He's like, nah, I can't do that, which is fair. Like, we don't know what the situation is, because for Stormi to call that man Mr., it's given from The Color Purple, it's given that wasn't a healthy relationship. Like, and she said it wasn't, but she ain't really go into detail. But I don't want to say she give, DV victim symptoms, and I'm not saying that, I'm not accusing him of that. I'm just saying, like, she carries the energy of somebody who very easily could, like, who just carries the energy of somebody who was in a very unhealthy, toxic relationship. Especially because she didn't specify the ways that, when people typically don't get that deep, it's because it is what it is. Like, we know women get conned into these relationships out here. Point blank, period. Like I said, I ain't putting it on him, but it is what it is. But yeah, he can't do that. It's gonna have to get snipped real quick. So yeah, it's time for the party. Everybody's looking real cute, and Stormi, I wasn't mad at it, but like I don't know, something about, the titty part, every time people do the titty part and it just holds them barely, it's something about it, the way it separates the chest on some ladies. It wasn't that it was terrible, but it was just like, it's not the tops that I prefer to see on women particularly. But nonetheless, it was Stormi, Courtney, Ken and Trisha in the car, and then obviously Kim, Tisha, Marceau, and Maurice. And they basically talking about, like, we ain't seen each other. Tisha's kind of feeling like this is weird. Like, I ain't seen, she all of a sudden want to send us, hey, you guys, would love if you could come to my birthday. And of course, as Marceau want to giving real energy of, like, this is not how we operate. If that's how you operate, then, Marceau is definitely trying to give older than wiser energy, this energy. Have you noticed he been trying to give advice? He did. I mean, he gave fair advice to Moses, and then now Ken, he's trying to kind of do the same thing too. But it's like, Marceau, you just, like you say, because he got more experience at this, reality TV shit, I guess he trying to give him a heads up. But the way he just talk about, like, he still ain't doing this shit is just beyond me. You just do it in a different way, okay? But yeah, as they were sitting there talking, of course, we got Trisha and Stormi basically talking about basically what Tisha said. And Trisha was basically letting Stormi know that Letitia and her kind of talked about how she described Nell and Stormi, basically. So she basically like, yeah, I'm really excited to see Nell, and how, she's acting basically in comparison to what Tisha said. And Tisha basically kind of explained Nell to be like real, feisty, real, ready to go. And she's like, and so Stormi was like, did she say that as like, a descriptive, or like she was like, or just like how she is? She was like basically how she is descriptive. And so she was like, well, she said that about Nell, like what's she saying about me? And basically she was like, you can be one way and then flip to another. And so Stormi was like, oh, for real? Like I ain't never felt like I act like that. And if we really truly think about Stormi's past, Stormi has pretty, stayed pretty consistent, throughout Love and Marriage Huntsville. Like, if we want to be real. But because of what happened at the reunion, I think that's why Tisha is giving like, oh, she can be one way one minute, one the next, which is clearly what we about to see when they get at this party. So, everybody shows up. But I did appreciate the part, where Courtney was talking about like him and Stormi was like, well, we know about Marcel and Maurice, because Ken's like, well, I know Marcel, seeing him around and things like that. And Stormi's like, well, Courtney and him, like, they ain't really, kick, ain't really good. But she's like, no. And then Courtney was like, yeah, I'm good with Martel, kind of really. And, I ain't really feeling, Maurice here though lately, because Stormi was confused. She was like, oh, I thought you were still, you like Maurice or whatever. He's like, yeah, after that Kimmy situation, I just could, rock with that. And when he said that, I was like, this is why we like you, Courtney. Like, we don't be trying to big up niggas too often around Love and Marriage Huntsville, okay? But we really, like I said, of the few niggas out here that we seen really on reality TV, Courtney in comparison, it just ain't no comparison. So yeah, yeah. So Stormi was like, "Oh, babe," she was like, "I really appreciate that, like you saying that, because it just lets me know that God forbid something happened to me, like you gonna love me." And the truth is, you seen the stats out here. These niggas, anytime a woman gets sick, they say it's 7 times more likely. Literally, the stats said men are 7 times more likely to leave a sick or an unhealthy counterpart than women to men. Are we surprised? Like, really, are we surprised? Ugh. So yeah, for Maurice, his complaint to be, of course he can't get his dick wet every 2 days, and Kimmy had to let ooh, Lord Jesus, Kimmy was out here faking it, y'all, and he had his feelings hurt, and she did her wifely duties. That's what it was. She did her wifely duties. Like, we gonna call it what it was. This is why we sit here at this conversation, but we not finna go down that road, but as we know. So back to it. Everybody showed up at the party. This is where we start to see Tisha was drinking. I guess Tisha was trying to drink and, I don't know, get her energies up. I don't know what. But, she showed up first. That I think they showed up, and then actually they were talking to the family. I forgot there was that part where they were talking to the family. So basically the family was kind of sitting there talking with Tisha and Kimmy. No, it was Kimmy, Marcel, Maurice, and they basically was like, so is Lexi gonna be here? Oh yeah, no, Tisha was there. And they were like, yeah, no, like Lexi ain't coming. And so Kimmy, for you sitting there asking this question like y'all know that girl ain't showing up. Y'all heard what she said. I didn't know about the interviews or whatever. So they basically, was saying whatever she had said, Nell's a side chick or whatever and whatnot. And they were like, well, Nell, basically wasn't phased. Like, why be phased by something? Like, you can't always give everything attention. And Maurice was like, well, sometimes you got to give attention to things, that you can't always act like you unfazed, especially about things that can be said, I guess, about your character nonetheless. I just think Nell and Chris are not going down that road, in particular Nell, because at the end of the day, it is kind of giving, like, bringing that up would kind of solve what, basically, like, because they not divorced and they've been together for so long. they find out that that's what happened, or Nell finds out that she was some side chick, i.e. whatever. Like, do y'all really want to have that conversation? Basically is what it is. Like, because then we are going to have to dig into Chris shit. And, you know, that's why this whole conversation exists. But nonetheless, basically they was like, Lexi ain't coming. So Kimmy, Tisha, and finally Stormi, I think it was. No, Mel came in. Y'all, Mel came in on her Mary J. Blige. Dun, 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 all night. Dun, 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 long. That's not Mary. That's Royce. But no, she did a remix of that. Something's got me so excited, baby. Dun-dun. I feel like she did. Yes, she did. But yeah. Let me get back to the review. My mind is wandering. See, sometimes I'll be smoking and doing reviews. My mind go. Yeah. Mel came in with her glasses, and this is where we started noticing Tisha was a little bit off her rocker. Mel, take your glasses off. And Mel was like, girl, last time I checked, we was in the club, you know? And so Mel had her little, one piece on, and they came and sat down. And then this is where, like I said, Tisha energy was just giving real weirdo energy. And so they sit there talking about, everything going on. Stormi come in. Y'all, the way Stormi walked in with that blonde, with that blonde curl, it was giving, y'all know what it was giving. Where am I going? It was giving real, all right, motherfucker, eyes on me. Listen up. I want all eyes on me right now. I want all eyes on me. How she walk in? From the Players Club.
All right, you white motherfuckers. All eyes on me. If I catch you looking at anything else, I'm gonna beat your ass.
The Players Club is a black classic. So yeah, she walked in, and basically it was giving like real uncomfortable. Tisha sitting there talking about like, oh, where Nell at? It's her birthday. Like, dang, she fashionably late. Da-da-da-da. And Kimmy was like, well, girl, it's her birthday, Or no, Tisha was like, where Nell at? And Kimmy was like, well, it's her birthday. She gonna be fashionably late. And it was just like, everybody was like, Tisha, you okay? Like, okay. So then Nell come in, with the real, with all the energy, Nell and Chris giving real, like, we gonna be fly till we die type of couple. So, she backing it up, everybody, excited for her. She come in and, say hi, happy birthday, pleasantries, Oh, y'all, Trisha, that's who was over there. I'm like, somebody else was over there. And they were talking about it. This is where they were getting introduced to Trisha. Y'all, see, that's where I'm like, Trisha, we need you to pump it up. Like, I get it, you are, shy. I get it's your first season, so I definitely want to stick around and get some more, but like that's how quick I forgot about you being there. So nonetheless, they were all sitting there talking to her about like what you do, her being a trainer, and so she was like, yeah, this is Trisha, and she was like, yeah, girl, she a trainer. And she's like, girl, I could tell, and so they started talking to Stormi about what she was doing. This is kind of like how the conversation gets going. And so Stormi's like, yeah, we do a competition, in November. So like, I'm on it, right now. And so Tisha's made a joke like, girl, shoot, I need to get going too. And whatever, she's like, oh, for real? And that's what Nell talk about. She said, well, girl, you got to get going. Like, you gonna have to get going. She's like, I want to get like you. She's like, well, you got to get going. So it definitely was like Nell and Tisha like kind of like throwing little pebbles back and forth at each other during the party. So then after that, you know, basically Tisha started getting into Nell about her age. And so she's like, girl, how old you turn? She's like, we ain't gotta talk about age. I think Melody was like, girl, yes, give it 20. Tisha over there sipping, no, 30. And so it was like, girl, shady boots. So then after that, Neil was like, girl, we ain't gotta talk about age. And then Tisha was like, yeah, we do. Da-da-da-da. So then that's when Kimmy was like, girl, it's your birthday. You know, you can talk about whatever you want. You could tell Kimmy was trying to be there to like check Tisha, like, girl, what's going on? So basically after that, this is where Tisha kind of starts, I don't know, going in. Then they ended up getting into what was the conversation after that? I think it was Trisha. That's when they get into like getting to know Trisha. This is where that nervous energy, like I said, where she second guesses herself, come in. Oh, are you know, you married or whatever? Or no, they start talking about like her training. And this is where I said, like, girl, you need to go to therapy, Trisha, because the way she's speaking about her parents, like the way she's just like, you know, I did training, you know, after my parents passed away. And I basically picked up training, you know, because they died, you know, I think what she said, like 7 months apart or something like that. And so you can tell she, in general, I honestly think she doesn't speak to. I think she's one of those people where she keeps her answers short, because if the more she kept talking, she gonna break down. I think Trisha's one of the people, like, if you really got her to talking, she would break down. And it's fair, because y'all, she been through a lot of shit, but like, that's why you need to go to therapy. But nonetheless, then they start asking her about you know, being married, and she was like, well, she's like, no, I'm separated but with somebody. And so Kimmy was like, huh? And she was like, yeah. And so it was like, girl, when people ask, just say you're separated. That's it. Just say you're separated. That's it. Like, they don't need it all up front. They don't need to know up all the extraness in the beginning, because now it's chaos and confusion in everybody's mind. When you be like, oh, I'm married, but not I'm separated with somebody. Like, everybody's mind is going like, what the fuck? So yeah, and so as they're talking, Ken's over there talking to the guys about the same thing, and he like, you know, it's weird because at the end of the day, people see us and they be like confused, like, what? Like, I thought she was married in some places. And then it's just kind of like, he don't want that energy out there, basically. So yeah, then they get talking about from that to, this is where Tisha started getting into it a little bit with Nell. And somehow, I forgot what it was they were arguing about. I'm high right now. I can't think about it. I forgot what they started arguing about. And then Stormi kind of came in and started, you know, going at it with Tisha. What the fuck were they talking about? Oh, Tisha was getting to Nell about, like, she was confused why she got an invitation, which was fair. Like, it was what it was. You know, obviously at the reunion, it was crazy. But when Nell and Tisha got into it, I just started laughing because Melody put them shades on. And she was just over there. She's like, my name Bennett, I ain't in it. So then, yeah, so Nell and Tisha started getting into it over basically not seeing each other, because she kept telling Trisha, like, oh, you know, Nell's feisty. And Nell's like, well, girl, you feisty too. And Trisha's and Letitia was like, well, girl, why you calling me feisty? Or no, Nell was like, girl, why you saying I'm feisty? And Tisha, cause like, you are. And she was like, that's why I'm gonna start calling you Nell and not Mel. And she was like, no, I'm Nell. And she's like, Nell. And she's like, Nell. Like, so now these hoes going back and forth. And then this is like where it rolled over to Stormi, because then it's like her and Stormi get into it over, you know, the whole reunion. She's like, girl, you know, I haven't seen you since the reunion where, you know, we didn't have a good interaction. I mean, we didn't say no nice things. And Stormi was like, well, girl, tell me what I said. And Tisha was like, you know, it wasn't really that great. She was like, yeah, because that's what I really wanted to talk about, because, you know, if we really want to talk about not nice things being said, you told me to go pop some pills. What did you mean by that? And Tisha, I think this is the moment Tisha was praying that she wasn't going to have to address, but like, nah, bitch, you got to talk about the fact that you said go pop some pills, bitch. Now in my mind, I think she meant that for her sister, but her mind was so much caught up in the adrenaline. She said that shit to Stormi, but she not finna admit that to Stormi. So when Stormi was trying to get her attention, when Tisha was going on her rant, well, I know what you talking about because of business and this, and Stormi was basically like, yo, bitch, like, what did you mean by popping pills? You know, and Tisha was like, I meant popping pills, and that's it was like, she was like, what you think I meant or whatever. And it's like, no, bitch, you said it. So now it's like, it's up if it's stuck. And so now it's the end of the episode and it's to be continued. I apologize that this got super long. I need to stop smoking before I do reviews because I always end up rambling. And this video is already what it was, and so I ain't doing it over again. So if you watched it all the way, I appreciate you for staying through. I'm gonna get caught up on the Kenya and oh my god, RHOA madness that's going on. It's a lot of shit to talk about. So yeah, tell me what you think about this episode, what y'all think about Trisha, you know, her energy, her being with Ken. Y'all think she gonna run Ken off? Y'all, what is the reason why her divorce isn't, you know, going faster than the way it is? And what y'all think was going on with Tisha? Because it was given she drank a Long Island. She was already with the shots, with the tequila, the Casamigos, the Reposado. You know, she was on it. Like, what y'all think was why was Tisha's turn? So yeah, and do y'all think Marcel? You think Marcel gonna ever get that house fixed? No, never. Yeah, Marcel, you just such a used car salesman talking about you gonna do something. Boy, you ain't finna do shit. But yeah, you guys, love Marriage Huntsville. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I will catch you guys later. Deuces.